Greetings, Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Putting Shells on Shelves. Yes, that series where I take a look at vintage Ninja Turtle action figures, at least for this first portion of it, and then, well, I basically share with you my knowledge of the Ninja Turtles toy line. So, if it wasn't obvious, from the title down below, today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Rock and Rollin' Turtles. Now, this particular wave came out, I think it was before the not You're Welcome tour, I'm thinking of Markiplier. Before they did the whole coming out of their shells tour thingy. And by the way, yes, this is an original program for the coming out of their shells tour. Let me see what's the date on this. Okay, this actually came out before the Rock and Rollin' Turtles figures, I believe. Let me double check the copyright date on them. Yep, so these kind of came out around the same time. So I guess the coming out of their shells tour was the catalyst for the creation of these toys. Regardless, they exist, and since I have them, I'm going to talk about them. Alright, so as per the usual, I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to grab a figure and tell you what I know about them, and we'll proceed from there. Ready? No? Well, too bad. We're going. So the first figure we have to talk about is classic rocker Leonardo. So obviously he's still the leader of the Turtles, and if I remember correctly, he's basically, according to the lore of the Rock and Rollin' Turtles, Leo here plays either lead guitar. No, he plays bass. Give me just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I haven't really improved much, and I still need to look stuff up. But I like to try and go off of knowledge, just off of what I already know, for the most part. Granted, that does mean that I wind up in times like this where it's like, that's the thing, isn't it? And so here I am on my phone again. Okay, so just double check. Let's see. Come on, baby. It's Leo, the classic rocker, and he's got something to say. He's a rebel with a riff who rocks around the clock. Too cool to be a fool. Leo's loose as a goose and ready to juice. This retro rocker's got a groovy, greased guitar to start any joint hoppin', but look out if any foot dare crash Leo's bash. He's ready with his studded straps, buckled boots, and killer katana caster. So kick back and swing and sway to the mutant sounds that are coming your way. Classic rocker Leo, the leader of Loud, he is here to stay. Okay, so apparently I was misinformed, or I remembered incorrectly. He's not the leader of the band, but, it's Leonardo. He's the leader of the Turtles, at least in the original 80s, 90s canonology. Canonology? The lore. So anyway, back to talking about the toy himself. So we got this cool dude wearing this nice studded biker vest. It's got this shirt that says Turtle Rocks. Turtles Rock. No, I said it right the first time. Turtle Rocks. He's got the cool of the era ripped jeans going on, which is a fad that comes into and out of fashion. I think it's in fashion right now. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not, up on fashion. Why am I talking about fashion? This is the Ninja Turtles. Because he's wearing clothing. That's why. See, this is why Ninja Turtles shouldn't wear clothes, other than like the belts, the bandanas, and the elbow and knee pads. Because then you get people talking about what they're wearing, what the fashion was. But anyway, his fashion statement, and I find it interesting that he's still wearing the knee pads over top of his blue jeans, which I think these are supposed to be acid wash, stone wash. Again, I'm not up on the details. Then he's got his spiked boots, as they talked about, as they detailed in that little blurb that would have been on the back of the card. And he's got this bandana on under his bandana, or he's got his bandana over another bandana. It's got those cool, kind of stereotypical bandana shape thingies on it. Overall, I like this Leonardo, and one thing that I do really like is the peace sign on his belt buckle. It may look kind of like the Chrysler logo, Dodge. It might look like that car logo, but it's supposed to be a little tiny peace symbol on his belt buckle. Anyway, the figure itself has some really good detailing. I like on the back how it's studded to look like rock and roll is printed on there. Hopefully y'all can see that. His plastic is very shiny. And of course, he's got the Turtle Rocks thing on his shirt right there. Although I should say, I think that they should have called it Turtles Rock. I don't understand why they called it Turtle Rocks. Like, is their band called Turtle Rocks? Is their band logo like a rock shaped like a turtle? I don't know. No one ever will. And I think he's got a little tiny either tape recorder or a little guitar tuner just kind of tucked away in his pocket there. It's a nice little detail, which again, hopefully y'all can see it. He came with 4 accessories, which were his katana blade caster guitar, which is literally just a guitar neck on a sword handle. He came with this turtle textured guitar, and each of the 4 brothers came packaged with a quote-unquote record. The title of this one is Sewer Love, which just sounds weird in and of itself. I like the detailing on these figures. I especially like the sculpts of the face, because that is the face of someone who would be on the cover of like a Twisted Sister album. Just like, yeah! Because that's what they were doing back there, or back in those days, just like, yeah! Or like they were just brooding, wearing a lot of makeup, just like, You know, giving the Vogue magazine covers, like, some bands did that. I think Motley Crue was one of the ones back in the day who did those kind of faces on occasion. Poison did it, and a bunch of other bands, but we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about turtles. So anyway, that's really all there is to talk about with Leonardo. So we'll just put him back down on the table, set him aside, and just grabbing at random, eyes closed, this one. Ah, Punker Dawn. So for this particular wave, we had 3 that were actually themed after rock and roll, and one that's themed after another genre of music, which I'll show you when we get to him. But anyway, we've got Punker Dawn, who is literally just Donatello with a mohawk, and he is all set up for punk rock, although I don't understand why he's got like the one glove on, because he's supposed to be representing punk rock, but the one-gloved aesthetic just always reminds me of Michael Jackson. I'm just expecting this figure to be like, Billie Jean is not my girl. She's just some girl who thinks that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. Yeah, I just expect him to be singing like that. But the rest of the outfit just screams like punk. You know, he's got the leather jacket that's got the one arm is like almost completely torn off and replaced with like this chain, which looks like it's got a microphone, or either that or it's a padlock just swung up under his arm like that. And then of course he's got whatever's going on underneath his belt buckle there, the pink with the shiny metal going on. He's got this cool necklace with a turtle head on it, and he's also got this interesting cuff going on, which I just realized that the chain is actually attached to. So I guess if Donatello here needs to throw down, he can just like, you know, unhook that from underneath his elbow pad, which I just realized it's under the elbow pad. Then you just like whip the crap out of people with that chain with the padlock on it. I also realized that for some reason, I understand it's part of the punk aesthetic, but they gave him an earring when the Ninja Turtles do not have ears. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you see that little shiny lump sticking out of his bandana right there, it's not a tuuma. It is in fact an earring. But Yeah, also he's kind of got a similar aesthetic to Leonardo in that he's got like the ripped pants going on, but I think his are supposed to be like tights, maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but those are definitely not jeans. Dare to compare. Unless they were just going for a more cartoony look with Donatello than it were with Leo. And let's see, any other points? Oh, and they've got the turtle version of the anarchy symbol just molded into his leg there, all casual-like. I kind of like that. He's got his green combat boots going on. And they didn't really do anything with the paint applications on the back because there's a spot, it'll probably be hard to see, but like right over here, it's torn and you can see his turtle shell, or the texture for it poking through, but again, they didn't put any paint applications there, so unless you're really looking for it, you would gloss over it like they glossed over it with the paint. But anywho, that he also has a really cool facial sculpt going on. And people have used this exact figure, this, the face sculpt on this guy, when they're making custom figures, they use that, like, smirking grin to make Freddy Krueger's out of this guy. If you go and look up, well actually, I'm the one making the video here, so editing me, if you can find that picture, throw it right up here with the custom Donatello as Freddy Krueger. See? It actually looks pretty good. And as you can see, they also did the other three brothers in similar horror fashion, only looking like other horror icons. But I digress. So that was Punker Donatello. Sorry if I'm moving kind of fast through this, but we're already 12 minutes in, and I want to get this done. Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about the accessories. Okay, so again, we got Punker Don, and this guy came with a bow staff that I believe is, it's also a flute. See how the end there kind of resembles a recorder, but it also kind of resembles like a crowbar. Anyway, there's his recorder, bow staff. He came with, because Donatello's the technical guy, all the computer stuff, he came with a keytar. And unlike Leonardo there, he came with 2 records. He came with these ones. One is titled Turtle Twist. The other one is Like a Turtle, which I think is supposed to be a play on Madonna's Like a Surgeon, Like a Turtle. It kind of works phonetically, but I digress. Okay, so that's been Punker Don. We will push him across the table to be with his brother Leonardo. And with only 2 figures left on the table, there is going to be another closing of the eyes and picking at random. 1, 2, 3. Ah! You know how I was mentioning just a little bit ago that there are 3 that are themed after rock and roll and 1 that's themed after another kind of music? Well, Michelangelo, or should I say Rappin' Mike, is the different one. One of these dudes is not like the others. One of these dudes just isn't the same. But anyway, we got Rappin' Mike, who I believe is based off of the look of a rapper from the 80s/90s called Flava Flav. He was that one rapper who was like, "Yeah, boy!" And he had like the big clock on his shirt and, around his neck on a chain. I'm just going to throw a picture up on screen, editing me right about here. It's got kind of the same thing going on. But anyway, I digress. Technically, Mikey comes with 3 records. And I say technically because they're all not actual records. I'll show you what I mean. On his belt there, he's got a turntable with a record on it. And then on his accessory, which we'll get to here in a few minutes, there's the other 2. So with this Mikey, he comes with a pair of brass knuckles molded onto his hands that say respectively, Mikey Raps. Because duh, I guess. He also comes with the standard stereotypical 90s rapper backwards hat going on. He's got these cool shades, you know, this totally cool dude with totally cool shades. Shaw. And then of course he's got his like bright neon green shoes. And he's got the cool clock around his neck, like I already said. And on the back, to accompany the record player, or the turntable I should say, he's also got stereo speakers coming out of his shell. That is pretty cool. And they actually went to the detail to paint like every last little detail on him. I didn't actually notice that until now, but like you can see his shell through his tank top there, the gold chain around the back of his neck. They actually got the belt between the speakers and underneath that wire going around. The only thing that they didn't paint, which in a way it kind of works, was they didn't actually paint the speaker cabinets, you know, the boxes the speakers go in, or the wires. But for the aesthetic, it works. And he's absolutely got that, you know, Flava Flav, like, yeah, boy, kind of face going on. I gotta say, I really actually do appreciate these figures. They just are cool to me. Obviously they were, otherwise they wouldn't be in my collection, which is a lie because I'm going for a complete collection of at least the original 1980s and 90s Turtles, of which I am about 88 figures away, 89, 88, somewhere in there. And that's not counting the Mini Mutant playsets, or the Turtle in a Turtle playsets, or things of that nature. But, again, I digress. A couple things that I noticed that they didn't actually paint on this guy is, of course, the wristbands. And if you notice on this arm, he actually has a chain around his wrist. Aside from that and the speaker boxes and the wires, they got this guy all done up right. And they even managed to put like a yo rap on his thigh there. All good things. All good things. Okay, so now let's move on to his accessories real quick. So, of course, Mikey being a rapper, he has to have himself a turntable, but he doesn't just have the one on his belt. Oh, heavens no. He's got this one he wears around his neck, which has the other two records that I was mentioning. I wonder if they put titles on these. Nope, they didn't put titles on any of the stickers. But anyway, he's got that piece of plastic that hangs around his neck. He also came with a pair of cymbals, I think. And for some reason, one of them is in blue plastic. I'm guessing that's because when this particular figure was made, they made these accessories in multiple different colors, and somehow I just wound up with one of two different colors. But I digress. Again, he's got the cymbals on a stick. And he also comes with microphone chucks, which also kind of look like the Nike symbol, if you really stretch out your imagination a little bit. And they also kind of look like... Okay, you guys know those Echo microphones, kind of like my little Nickelodeon one here? The ones where you can go like... You know, these? With the little indents in the back, don't these kind of give off that vibe? The like that? Anyways, so that's been his accessories. All are fitting and all work with the character. And on the whole, I like his aesthetic. I like his style. Now, we're going to move on to the last of the four brothers, Raphael. Now, Raphael here, he's more of an 80s heavy metal inspired character in this particular line. So here he is in his little Ziploc bag home, where I keep him. Because I literally have so many of these toys that I do not have room to put them all out on display yet. Thinking about putting in another set of shelves, like maybe right here, There's just enough room for it. The only problem is there's an outlet right down here, and this would block that outlet. But we'll see how it goes. Now then, just going to dump his accessories out prematurely. So, as you already saw, he's got like these kind of inverted zebra print pants going on. He's got his knee pads over top of them, which are actually studded. You know, they've got like little spikes jutting out of them. It'll be pretty hard to tell probably. Then of course he's got the chains coming off of his biceps, kind of like Donatello had, only his make a little more sense. And he's got the kind of studded dog collar thing going on. Not sure why they made it like a bright friggin' blue, like a Leonardo blue, but it's there. And they didn't really do much with the head sculpt. He kind of just looks like either the... Yeah, he looks like his Talking Turtles counterpart, only a little less exaggerated. And they gave him a belt, obviously, because all of the Ninja Turtles, like all of them ever, usually have a belt on. And of course he's got his little microphone tucked in there. Although, well, there's not really an although. I did notice just now that there's one spot that they didn't paint on this one. Well, there are several, but one obvious one. He's supposed to have a chain coming down off the back of his dog collar there. As you can see the shape right there. Unless it's supposed to represent like it's tucked underneath his shirt, in which case why is it so well detailed? Oh well. He's got the chains around his wrist, similar to Rappin' Mikey down there. But obviously they're unpainted. I forget if I mentioned this, so I'm just going to say it again. He's got his little combat boots going on with like the studded silver straps around him. So if he needs to, he can throw down and kick shell. And I think the design of this figure is very, very loosely based off of like Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses fame from the time. I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion. Now with Raphael, he came with a few accessories, as did all of his brothers here. He came with a guitar, which I just realized is shaped very similarly, if not modeled after, the guitars ZZ Top would use when they were performing. Well, I should say that they use while they're performing, because they're still around. One of them is, not getting into too much detail, because that's not the kind of show I run here. If there are any viewers of mine who do not know this, I'm going to go back and check, because I don't want to say the wrong name and make a bunch of people mad at me. But yeah, their bassist is no longer among the living. Dusty Hill passed away earlier this month, which really sucks. It really sucks. But in the words of Oingo Boingo, no one lives forever. Sorry if that's insensitive to some of you. Anyway, it affected me like it did probably at least some of you watching my videos. I wasn't expecting him to go so soon. But then again, those guys have been performing for a long time, so he lived a full life. And I'm not going to get into any more details than that, because I can feel myself getting choked up thinking about it, and I've cried enough on camera. I don't need to go crying in a putting shelves on shelves video. So anyway, we got Raphael here, heavy metal Raph, with that guitar. And he came with a couple of drumstick size, which I wound up actually having a matching set of these, but I had a Raphael that didn't have them. And the only reason why the two were separated was because the size were with a troll Raph, and just because of their kind of wood aesthetic, I just immediately thought that they were supposed to be with that figure because trolls and you think wooden weapons and stuff. So I thought they went with that one. It wasn't until years later when I was doing research that I was like, wait a minute, I've seen those before. Picked him up, plucked the little thing out of his hand, compared it to the image on the computer. It's like, yeah, those go to this guy, not you. And just did my usual thing and put them with the figure they were supposed to go with. Collecting in any regards is almost always a learning process. Anyway, and he also came with a record like most of his brothers. His is Ninja Rock. Also, little bonus thing, I don't know how many of you caught that I put up 2 fingers and then throw up a third one. That's because there weren't actually only 2 more figures to look at, there were actually 3. And that's because this heavy metal Raphael had a variant, which I happen to have. There's not too much different between the two. Well, let me actually take a look here before I go putting my foot in my mouth. Because, putting your foot in your mouth is kind of nasty, and you wouldn't want to do that to begin with. Yeah, just basically, he's got a darker red. Well, let me put him into the light so you can actually see. He's got like a darker red instead of this nice, bright, vibrant red that he has. And if you notice the necklace, which I forgot to mention on this one, it's got that black dot in the center of his red star. This one did not have that particular feature. And and also I just reminded myself that this one, they just painted the block where the R is inside of his belt, the entire thing red, instead of painting it black and then, just outlining the R. So there's a couple of little differences. Another one that I just noticed is that the stripes are more thick and vibrant and plentiful, especially on the front. Let's see, any other differences that I can spot before I wrap this up? And not really seeing any. Okay, yep, that's it. Alright, so thank you all so much for coming back and watching another one of my videos. I do truly and greatly appreciate it, and all of you. If you like what you've seen here today, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon to be notified of future uploads once you are subscribed. You'll be glad you did. Feel free to share my videos with your friends. If you think they'll like them, heck, if you're not sure, share it anyway. You could be surprised. And with all of that hullabaloo out of the way, this is your old buddy Oxleymations saying, if you're still watching, put the word bandana in the comment section down below, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Later.